now. Okay, so just so that you know, in fact, let me get you to do this first. If you have got a phone, a tablet, a computer, or another device open, please open up YouTube first and foremost. Open up YouTube and just go to the search bar and type in there ITT Future You. ITT Future You. So I'm just going to go up to the top there. ITT Future You. And when you get to the ITT Future You, please, please, please hit the subscribe button. This is really, really important, actually, because this is a masterclass. It's 45 minutes. We're going to be, it's been specially commissioned by the ITT Future You, and we're going to be sharing lots of really great and practical nuggets that are designed to help you to boost your visibility and your credibility and your impact out there in the market that makes you memorable. Now, I don't want you to worry if you're new to all of this. Don't worry, if you're a student and you're looking at building your career in travel and tourism, I've got you. If you are already in the industry, reminds me to take a sip of water. I speak really quickly. I get very excited. But if you're already in the industry and you're looking at building your career, that's fine. If you're in the industry and you're looking at stabilizing your career, that's also fine too. So here's all I want you to do very quickly while we get started. Open up YouTube on whatever device you can. Find the ITT Future You, like so search ITT Future You, and then go and hit subscribe. And my mouse has decided to stop working. Let's have a look. Oops. Sorry. There's always something, always something. Okay, here it is. My mouse has run off the screen. We're coming back. I'm coming back to you. Okay. I really like to present without doing death by PowerPoint slides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak to you like this. What you're going to need beside you is water, if you've got that. You're going to need, whoops, let's just have a look, yeah. Water, pen and paper to make notes, and scribble down as much as you can. So I am going to share as much as I can in the time that we've got, an hour, 45 minutes, but I would also like some Q&A. So I know that you've probably been using Zoom in the last sort of 9-10 months, and that's fine too. What I'm going to ask you to do is hold on to your questions, and if you get questions that spring up as we go through and I don't answer them as we go along, then it's likely that I will be able to come to you at the end and, you know, just kind of answer any questions, any burning questions that you've got. So just bear with me while I get my slides back up in the meantime, because I just want to check something that I would love to share with you. Okay. So I'm admitting as many people as possible. I didn't think this through, did I? My assistants have been helping me in the last couple of days with a couple of these big webinars that I've been running and trainings and things like that. So, okay, we'll get started. We're recording, we'll get started. So for those of you that have just joined, if you have got another device open, and I will try to remind you to do this towards the end as well, just open up YouTube, go to the search bar and click in the ITT Future You, ITT Future You. I'm just going to make sure. Okay. Go to ITT Future You, hit subscribe. Okay, so welcome to this masterclass that's been pulled together especially for you by the ITT Future You. And here's what I would really love you to get from today. Well, first of all, I don't know where you have registered from. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a chat box. And if you click on the chat box, just type in maybe the town and or the country of where you're watching from at the moment. What I really want you to know is there's a sense of community, around wherever you're looking at this from. So far, I'm just going to look through the chat. Wowzers, we've got Wolverhampton, London, Dublin, Poole, Brighton, Liverpool. Yes. We've got, Hampshire, South Coast, Manchester, Milton Keynes, Wigan, Hull, Truro, oh my gosh, Truro even, if I can say it properly, Warlingham in Surrey, I remember that, Haywards Heath, I've been there before. Hello from London, says Andrea, thank you. I'm just proving that this is not pre-recorded and I'm not, kind of making you sit there and answer to things that aren't actually real. We've got loads, oh my gosh, Billericay, yes. Oh, we've got the Netherlands. Anyone further out from the UK than the Netherlands? Let's have a look. We've got Birmingham, East London, Newcastle. Oh gosh, so many of you. Wowzers. Thank you for sharing where you're from. I want you to know that, yes, I'm sharing lots of information for you, but also you've got this massive community around you. So if you get the chance to, feel free to chat to each other. Feel free to hook up on LinkedIn wherever you are in your travel and tourism journey. The thing that I do want to say is, whilst these visibility nuggets are really great for getting you out there, there's also parts of this that are really great for those of you who may have been really badly affected by the last 10 months. I don't want to seem blasé, and I think it'd be remiss of me not to mention, what a challenge it has been. The one thing that I got to test drive in this very unusual circumstances was that this stuff still works. So this stuff still works. So if you've got questions, even you, Paul, in sunny Sheffield, then, do store them up and let me have those towards the end. I will be more than delighted to, to answer your questions. So what are we going to do today? Today, we are going to be sharing five easy steps to stand out. What I'll do is I'll take you through a system that I accidentally created many, many years ago. I accidentally created this system while I was actually working outside of the travel industry and in financial services. And a very long story cut short, I quadrupled my income and I received multiple promotions, all in the space of under 2 years. And I didn't think it was a thing. To me, it was just a happy accident. Now, that might sound like a bit of a boast, and I don't mean it to sound like I'm boasting. I'm actually sharing that with you because if I could do that, so can you. But the thing is, you might not want to quadruple your salary. You might not want lots of promotion. You might just want to do a really great job in what you're doing, so far. So you can use these tips and techniques too. One of the things that I want to be able to share with you are not only the 5 steps that got me there. I didn't even know that there were steps that were repeatable, that I could do this. But because we have only got this time in the masterclass, what I'm actually going to be doing for the ITT Future You is recording a series of follow-on nuggets so that you can continue the journey, or for those of you that like to binge watch, you can binge watch. And I know that one of the places you'll be able to do that will be on their YouTube channel. And as you know, they've put this together. They've worked extremely hard to organize this, to, for us to get this time together in our diaries, and for them to share this information for you from now and moving further on. I think we can show them some love by at least subscribing to the channel. So once any new information comes out, not just that I'm sharing with them, but the information that they share with you, it will be really useful. And you can watch it from your phone, from your tablet, from your computer, as and when it comes up. And I think we need it. We're now in the kind of downhill towards the end of the year. And for many of us, our mind goes to a reflection on maybe this year just gone. And for some of us, what we're going to do moving forward. So would really love you to do that. So how is this going to work? I think it would be really great. Normally you attend trainings, masterclasses, and you're told, switch your phone off. Well, I say, do keep your phone on. Maybe just keep it on Do Not Disturb. I've got my phone on silence and I've got, the second device. It may buzz, as some of you have already reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, let's connect. So I will accept those connection requests as soon as I've finished here. Now, if something excites you, share it on social. Believe it or not, I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to, dust off my ego or anything else like that. If there's a soundbite or something I say, whatever your favorite platform is, from Instagram to Facebook, the ITT Future You have got pages there too. It could be Twitter, it could be LinkedIn, it could even be on YouTube, share it wherever you can, because I want the ITT Future You to have the exposure that I know that they deserve. They're already well established, but I want them to have the exposure that I know they deserve. So when you share that stuff, do put in, maybe add the hashtag ITT Future You. And if you're on a platform where they are, as I say, Instagram's one, they're on LinkedIn, they're on Facebook, remember to tag them and show them some love there too. Now, you are all automatically muted. I've just done that for the quality of the recording. I'm not trying to shut down your voice or treat you like children, but we want a really good quality recording. And the ITT Future You will definitely be in contact with how you can watch that and where. And we hope that, having subscribed to their YouTube channel, that you'll get to watch it over there too. So keep muted, have fun. This is really great fun. I'll share what I can in the time I've got, and I'll show you how you can get more of these towards the end. And I know that you'll hear from the ITT Future You too. So I'm going to start actually by sharing one of the kind of like the first and easiest nuggets. Now, the system that I accidentally created is a visibility activating system. So if you have been visible and maybe you've been really busy or just bogged down with work recently, maybe you've got a contract that's coming to an end, maybe you've got a contract that you'd like to start, maybe you're looking for something new, maybe you're looking for something. There are 5 simple steps. And we're going to focus very deeply on the first steps today. 5 simple steps and easy ways to stand out. Now, are you ready for this? I would like you to write on your sheet of paper the word vibes with an S on it. Vibes. V for Victor, I for India, B for Bravo, E for Echo, S for Sierra. You can tell I've worked in the travel industry, can't you? I know my phonetic alphabet. So the first step to being visible is being visible, not hiding at all. So one of the ways in which we hide, I mean, this masterclass, notwithstanding, is that sometimes, have you ever been on a Zoom call where the host or the meeting, they've advised you, switch your cameras on, you can switch your cameras on. And the reason why this is such a great visibility piece is this is actually you positioning yourself. Too many people kind of hide away. You don't need a fancy smancy studio or anything else like that. You could even be sat on the edge of your bed. Just double check what's behind you. Make sure it's not going to offend anyone or upset anyone, and go for that. So I'm just curious to know, other than this Zoom call, whenever you are on a Zoom call, do you have any places like in your house, at work, that are like your nice places to go? It could be that you want to get signal. If you do Zoom calls from your phone, you're kind of trying to get a signal. If you do, type it in the box. Let us know, where it is. Let us know whereabouts it is. And if you haven't, don't worry. I always say think about 3 places. This will become apparent as we go further along, but think about 3 places in your house, in your space. And for those of you that are in warmer climates, it could be like you could have a wall as a backdrop outside, and type them in the box, share them, because if there are any of you that say, never really thought about this before, I don't know where I can be, have a look at the chat. You'll be getting lots of ideas. Okay, so someone says their kitchen, they can have a plain wall behind me. That's the lovely Claire Steiner. So you should know Claire by now. Sitting on my bed in my room, that's absolutely fine. Sometimes you can get these really nice bed heads that actually look like backgrounds, as long as, you don't show a pillow or something like that in a meeting, nobody will know. So get used to thinking about somewhere that you can have your camera on and, you know, be totally visible, quite literally, before the meeting ever starts. It will pay you dividends. Some of you are talking about temporary offices, sitting rooms. I think a lot of us have built temporary offices, haven't we, Katie, you know, throughout these last few months as well. Someone said their mum's conservatory. I like that. I like a bit of heat, you know, living room, desk in the hallway. It really doesn't matter, but make sure that you have somewhere that you can have a background. Then that way, if you turn up to a Zoom meeting, for example, or on-screen meeting, other places are available, and they ask you to switch your camera on, you don't have any shame of, you know, where you are. So I'm going to come back and give you lots more tips like that. I'm going to give you more than 5. Is that okay? If it's okay, just put a yes in the box. If you're like, nope, I want you to stick to 5, then type the number 5 in the box by all means, and I'll just narrow it down a bit. You can tell why I speak quickly now, can't you? The thing that I do want to say, I want to thank Claire and the directors at the Future You, especially Danny, who's the tech guy, who's probably cringing at the tech that I'm using at the moment, but that's okay. We'll sort that out. To Claire, to Paul, and all the others who have got involved in that. And the reason that I'm so passionate about the ITT and what they do is, you know, I've heard a lot about them even before I won the Mentor of the Year this year. And I have to say, I'm very grateful that I was watching online with no cameras pointing back at me. Shall I tell you what I did when I found out? Can anyone guess what I did when I found out that I'd won? Other than gasped, I didn't swear, which is good. I kind of, you know, but have a, yeah, just type in the box what you think I did when I heard. Katie, I did exactly the same as Katie. I did a happy dance later on. I gasped and then I burst into tears. So glad. Can you imagine if it had been the Oscars and the winner is, and then you just burst into tears with everyone going, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And then I did a culmination of happy dancing and screaming in, oh my gosh. And the reason that I did was I was up against such phenomenal people. Another good reason, next time you're on LinkedIn, whether you've used LinkedIn recently or not, is go and have a look at the ITT Future You's page and the Institute of Travel and Tourism's page as well. Make sure that you follow them so you can keep up to date with all of these things that they do. And you can see the phenomenal people that sit on their board, the phenomenal people that sit, you know, and offer their services. And also now you've subscribed to YouTube, you will be able to see some of the resources, the interviews that they've had on there. I saw one from a lovely lady called Donna, so do check that out as well. Really great interview series. So the Snoopy happy dance, I want to know what that is. It's all right, I'm not going to ask you to switch your camera on and do it, but you know, I'm quite interested to hear. Anyway, I was telling you about the 5 repeatable steps. So I'm going to go through what the other steps are, but then I'm going to whiz back to the first one and give you as many nuggets as I can to help you stand out. So if you're starting to have questions, by all means, you know, get them to the ready, and I'd love to type them through. So the second part of the vibe system, the I for India, actually stands for impact. Impact, or if you feel uncomfortable around that word, it's the impression you leave. If we take the impression you leave, it's your reputation, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. Are you, you know, are you diligent? Are you attention to detail? Are you very visible in that you put yourself out there? You know, do you speak a lot at meetings? Do you speak a lot within the industry? You know, are you looking forward to building that as a muscle to get braver? Just by way of finding out, because you'll find out as parts of the system and as I share them. But is anybody here thinking, oh yeah, I would like to have more impact. I just want to do a good job. I want to keep doing what I do and have more impact that way. Or I want to have the sort of impact that has a recruiter say, I want that person. If you do, just type the word impact in. It gives me a sense check of where to kind of, you know, focus the future trainings that are going to be there. So after the I, you've got the B. Now, B is actually about your biography. Now, think about this. The world and his wife have, or the world and his husband, or the wife and the wife, But the whole world has got used to telling their story or sharing their professional story on one thing called a CV. You know, at some point we've all had to write a CV. But you know what? There's not just the story of you. There's not just the story of the job and why you're best suited for a position, or why you're best suited for the promotion, or why you're best suited to do something else within the industry. And for some of you, you might even be looking at, well, during these times, how can I transfer the skills that I've got now to somewhere else? But there's always a story about why you like doing what you do. Anyone who's ever coached with me privately or mentored with me will know that I dig into what seems really seemingly insignificant things about your life. What kind of things do you love? You know, why do you like doing the things you do? When was the first time you did it? What do you look back in your life and think, I've always been organized. I remember when I was 3, I used to organize my dolls, or organize the sock drawer, or organize something else, you know. But being able to have that as part of your biography actually has you stand out, because now your CV looks very different to somebody else's CV just because you've injected a bit of you. For some of you, you might be business owning in this space. So if you're a business owner, it's really, really important that you tell the story of the products and services. You know, I did it very quickly, but I shared with you that this whole system came into effect because I quadrupled my salary, quadrupled my income, and did it in under 2 years, and thought it was a happy accident. So that's just one of the many stories that I have. And there's stories that my clients have of when they follow the same steps, they get the same results. They got new jobs, you know, they were able to be recognized in the job that they have for doing a great job. So there's lots of different ways that a biography can be used, which isn't just a CV. And then the fourth step is, or the fourth part, if you like, is E. It's your energy. Now, there's a really big myth that I want to start busting now. Most people will say, oh, but Jenny, I'm introverted, so I don't talk up as much, and, you know, I'm, you know, a bit more quieter, and I might think about things. And here's what I want to say. In a nutshell, don't worry about that. Whether you're introverted, extroverted, or even ambiverted and swing between either or, it's okay. Your energy still counts. And I want to also bust a myth about introverts being shy. I mean, that's simply not true in my experience. Let me give you the difference between introverted and extroverted. And let me tell you, a famous introvert is Barack Obama. Barack Obama is an introvert. And I share that with you because I want you to know that whether you're introverted, extroverted, or ambiverted, you can still make a difference. But here's the key thing. As an extrovert, people will get their energy from people. And, you know, you can imagine the last 10 months, we do a gazillion Zoom calls, make lots of phone calls, and we want to really get ourselves out there. So the other thing that you might want to think about is, as an introvert, you want more time, more space to connect, and, you know, just to chill out, think and reflect. Now, here's the most important reason why you need this, wherever you sit on that spectrum, or that, you know, on the introvert scale or extrovert scale. As an introvert, you think, speak, think. That's how you roll. Think, speak, think. As an extrovert, you speak, think, speak. What does that mean? Have you ever been in the presence of someone where you want to say, just stop talking for a minute, I need time to think? When you're an introvert, you think, you sit in the meeting, you take in all the different ideas, and then you just say to yourself, okay, I've had time to think about this, now I'm going to speak. Jodie resonates with this completely. Oh, by the way, I forgot to show you a cool thing on here. If you haven't used it before, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see something called reactions. And if you're on a phone, you'll see the reaction. If you click on the reaction, it will give you a host of emojis that will just stay up for 10 seconds. Why to use these? It's a really great way of interacting online, something that we're having to build our muscle in doing. In a minute, the love heart will disappear. Then I can celebrate you. Okay, so again, this is a really great way of communicating through this. So one of the things that people say the most is, oh, but I think they need to speak up more. When you're an introvert, you'll think about it, reflect on it and speak. And you could do that in a matter of minutes. It might take a matter of days. It could take longer, but that's how you roll. And the reason that I share that with you is I would invite you just to see, where do you sit on this? Are you the sort of person that's maybe more extroverted and your way of thinking something through is by talking to somebody? Ever had a problem, phoned a friend, and you just keep talking to them? And as you talk, you're like, actually, I'm sorted. I know what I can do. I feel so much better, And then, ambiverts, you're smack bang in the middle, like Natalie. She's smack bang in the middle too. I am an extrovert, but I do have introverted traits. I'm not sure that I'm ambivert, but I do have introverted traits. There are times when I just need to sit and think, and that's it. The time that I need to recharge my batteries doesn't take as long as, it might do for someone else. So just want to check, does that make sense? Does that make sense so far? If it does, put a yes in. If not, and it brings up a question, then if I don't answer it in the next few moments, feel free to type the question in at the end. I keep saying at the end because I know that I won't be able to concentrate on speaking to you, sharing with you, and trying to look at all of that. So yes, people are often surprised how shy you can be, and you're a definite extrovert. And those are the times, Claire gets it, where you just want to go within, don't you? Take a breath for a moment and carry on. So somebody else has said they're very introverted, talk through work issues by talking it through, and then they get passionate about something, they gain a lot of temporary confidence, and that's fine. I learned this skill corporately of sitting in a room and actually just listening to what people were saying and summarizing what they were saying and then delivering a classic one-liner. And I know that you guys do stuff like that too, classic one-liner, because you've been able to take on board all the information, you've had a moment to think, and that's really valuable too. And all of that comes under the visibility piece as well. Yes, listen to understand, not to respond. Yeah, first seek to understand, then be understood. Great book. I'm just trying to think. 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. If you've never read it, it's a great, great book. Yeah, so next step is the S. Now, the S actually represents 2 different things. And the 2 things under there are really about speaking and sales. Now, sales, you might say to yourself, I'm not a salesperson. Well, you might work in selling within the industry, but often the biggest thing that we have to sell is what? Anyone want to guess? What are we normally selling under there? You've got it, ourselves. It could be our ideas, our concept in a meeting. It could be ourselves so that we're taken seriously. One of the things that I hear the most when I private coach with people is, I just don't think I'm taken seriously, or I want to be taken seriously. So it's one of the biggest things to think about. So whether you're selling a physical product, a service that people can't see, and many of my clients in the travel industry are challenged at the moment, of selling a holiday, because what does a holiday look like? Yes, you can look in the brochure, but what will it feel like? And then there's all the different things that are going on, globally, that could put a barrier in the way. So we have to become better at selling ourselves, our services, our products, and our ideas. And then the other side of the S is about speaking. Normally, you'll be speaking in a meeting, especially online on Zoom. The other thing that I have been talking about for 8 years plus is video. Video. Now, you might say it's all right for you, Jenny. you know, you're a business owner, so it's all right for you to hop onto Facebook and speak on your page and, you know, talk about this thing and talk about that thing. But it really is important, because there are parts of your roles, especially for those of you who are looking to go into an employed situation or already employed, where video will come into it. And if this year didn't show us that with things like Zoom, you know, Office and all those other platforms, video conferencing platforms, where we have literally had to be on camera, it shows this now. I'm so passionate about speaking on video and presentations that those are definitely two things that you'll be hearing from me and the ITT Future You about in the forthcoming series. There's lots of really great tips and techniques. So V, visibility. I, impact. B, your biography, which is really your story. E, your energy. And that's a bit of like who you are, injecting your personality into things. And S is either speaking and or selling yourself or selling something. So now we've got those are the 5 steps. I mean, you could kind of quite happily go off and start to work on that. But why is it important? Now, this is quite an interesting stat. What is visibility and why it's important? Well, being visible isn't about being bossy, isn't about shouting the loudest over other people's heads. It's none of that. Being visible is all about your ability for people to see you, like it could be physically, see what it is you do, see the value that you bring. And that includes a sort of a pre-interview situation as well as an interview situation. And it's your ability to really stand out, raise your profile, stand out from the crowd without gimmicks. Visibility isn't about you being the shouty, sweary one on social media. It isn't about you being antagonistic, you know, for that. And it isn't even about you plugging yourself on other people's posts. It's nothing to do with that at all. You know, visibility is all about your ability to be seen, to be heard. And the whole reason that I even put these, you know, this structure, this visibility activation structure in place is because after quadrupling my salary, after you know, doing all of those great things, I then too got made redundant and went on to another role. And I had a crisis of confidence. You know, I had a crisis of confidence. And you might think, oh, well, that's whoopee-doo for you, you know, they're there, or whatever you might think. But the crisis of confidence I noticed in myself and over the years with people and businesses and companies that I've worked with and spoken at is that a crisis of confidence can have you not put yourself out there, not put yourself forward for the role, not think that you're good enough in the role. It can have you feeling stressed, anxious, and all sorts of other things. But you know what it did for me? My crisis of confidence made me think, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I can't do this again. And I actually took a massive pay cut, over 60%. Now, I don't want you to think that money is everything with me, because it isn't. But there's that feeling, and I only want you to think about this for a moment, because I'm sure I'm not the only person that's got this story where professionally we go through a crisis of confidence and it can be really crushing. You know, lots of you are now saying that you've experienced this yourself. Yeah, it breaks you. Absolutely, absolutely. I can almost feel myself back in that, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? You know, so many of you can relate to that. And I want to share that with you candidly and honestly, because that's the reason I put the system together. It's not for fame or fortune or anything else. It's because along the way, I worked out ways that you can be visible, that you can be seen and be confident as you, just feeling great in your own skin, even when things are tough around. And I'm not saying that will never happen, but even when things are tough around you, it means that you will be able and willing to stand out. Okay, so going back then to the visibility part, the first piece of the system, there are pieces that hang underneath. How did I go from kind of doing what I did to achieving those kind of those professional goals? There were some financial goals, but how does somebody do that? And specifically now, how do you do it when, you know, as some of you said, you've gone through your own crisis of confidence and you just feel broken? So one of the first things to do is to get really clear on what you want. Oh my gosh, I could sit here and do this for 10 hours and just walk you through each of the steps. But apart from the fact that you probably want to eat, and apart from the fact that you probably, you've booked out an hour, there's so many different pieces, which is why we're going to be sharing some more. And for those of you that maybe joined late, I think that's it for the doorbell going and people joining now. I should have asked one of you to co-host, shouldn't I, just to make sure. But for those of you who are, looking at putting yourselves out there and finding out a little bit more about some of the other steps in the system, do go to YouTube, go to Facebook and search for ITT Future You, hit subscribe on YouTube and hit like. Don't just follow, hit like on their Facebook page. If you're an Instagram person, they're over there too. So make sure that you keep connected with them and the things they share, because they have a wealth of information even amongst their members. So when we are looking to plan and be visible, I'll give you some steps of how you can do that. So one of the first things you'll need to do is to be clear on what you want. Now, this is going to sound really simple, but as a coach and a mentor, it's where I spend sometimes nearly 80% of my time with clients, not because they're stupid. In fact, most of my clients are pretty smart and switched on. It's because quite often we get into life and we get into the string of life and it's like we get into the busyness. Has anyone ever had that, where you get into the busyness of life and you kind of put yourself on the back burner? And thank you for the lovely person who sent me the private message. I won't read it out publicly, but I'll definitely look back on there. So, and it's a gorgeous story. So this is the thing. So you're saying definitely, definitely, definitely. We've all had this where everyone else takes a back seat. Some of you are parents and quite rightly, your focus has been on the children, and maybe now it's time to think, so what do I want? Maybe your thought has been on families. Maybe you've moved, some people have moved continents, countries, some people have moved positions. Maybe they went into something and it wasn't quite right, So when we have a certain clarity, and I think the next section, I don't know what Danny, Claire and Paul and you guys think at the ITT, as we're coming into the spirit of the end of the year, getting ready for the new year, would it be useful to have something on kind of planning ahead, goal setting, that's fun, that's not just a checklist of write down all the goals you want and then just go and try and achieve them? Would that be something that's good? If it is, give me a yeah, give me a thumbs up, or a yep, that would be great. Well, the person said yes, that would be great. Yes, said Monica. I love that. Yes, please, because I love that Stuart and Rachel are very polite. Dan says, sounds good, sounds good. Okay, I love doing these, and it's just amazing how quickly things start to fall into place. So we'll put that down as the next thing to do. Okay, so yeah, Claire's saying absolutely. I mean, Claire and I and the board, we've talked about this already, so we kind of guessed that it might be good. We just want to make sure that it's something that serves you highly. So be clear. Having a plan or goal setting, the way that I talk about goal setting isn't about the checklist and the bullet points or the bucket list. It's about doing something that's fun. You're clear, absolutely clear on what you want. You're clear on what you don't want. It means that if you get any kind of like bumps in the road along the way, you're able to sort those out and either ride over the top of them, kick them out the way in your own way. It also means that you can get really specific as to when and how. And the funny thing is, when you do this process in the way that I love to share, when you get to the end, then the hows become apparent. Ever done a to-do list and you've literally looked at it and gone, I don't know how I'm going to get through all of this? Because you start thinking about, well, how am I going to do it? What have I got to do first? You get into overwhelm, you get into procrastination, you get into something I call comparisonitis, where you look at, well, if Jenny's doing it that way, then maybe I'll try it that way. And it's crippling. It's a bit like the crisis of confidence. It can sometimes have you feeling stuck or frozen. So why not set your goals in a way that when you get to the end of it, then you're clear on, well, here's what I could do next to make this happen. And you can keep your eyes and ears open for the opportunities that will be coming around, you know. Sound good? Sound good. So when you are being visible, have a plan. It's a bit like having a map or a sat nav or maps on your phone. It's just, and I'm of the era, unfortunately, I remember the good old paper map. You know, once upon a time, I'm going to lose a certain generation, like the millennials are going to go, what? Once upon a time, if I wanted to drive from London to Scotland, I would have to go to a shop, buy a book, get a map, find the right page on the map. Please tell me that I've got company on here, that you're all cracking up at that. And then you'd have to look at the map and try and work it out. Nowadays, you just get your phone, put in a postcode or a town anywhere in the world and just hit go. And it's easy. But yes, once upon a time, I am of a certain stage of my life where I remember that. If you get your goal setting plans right, it means that even if you feel, oh, I think I might have people in the waiting room. Do I have people in the waiting room? Oh, let me just view. Just got this thing that flashed up. Sorry for a second, but I'd be mortified if people are sitting there thinking, how rude, you know, why is she letting us in? You know that like about 130 of you, I think, in the end registered for this. Just amuse yourselves while I do that. If you want something to do, then just are you all in? Just go over to subscribe to YouTube or find Future You on LinkedIn or on Facebook. Let's have a look. Everyone in the waiting room. Hopefully I'll get no response from that, which means everybody's in. Gosh. Yeah, okay, excellent. Okay, I can continue. So when you have a plan, you know what to do, you know your step by step. Now, the thing about a map is when you have a good, proper goal plan, not just a to-do list, it means that you can have a look at where you need to go to. Now, there is no right and wrong way. Sometimes we deviate and take the longer route, but that's okay. And sometimes we need to do that. We literally need to go and smell the roses. And other times you can see the most direct route to go to. And what happens is good opportunities come up and you get to see that. So there is the video piece, and I'll save that for another time, but let me give you some very practical tips about you know, being out there on social media. And I'm just going to share my screen just as a bit of a visual, so you don't need to get sick and tired of seeing my face. So okay, let's start here. There's Facebook. Now, I know that, you know, traditionally you don't make the assumption that raising your profile is necessarily something that you would do on Facebook. But there's 2.5 billion active users on Facebook. There are groups on Facebook, you know, you've got friends on Facebook. There are companies with pages on Facebook. As I said, the ITT Future You is one of them. You know, all these different places to get resources so you don't have to do these things by yourself. But here's where I see a lot of people miss out on that. A lot of people will miss out on that because they don't have a photo on Facebook either. I know it sounds, you know, cringeworthy. And if any of you are consultants or have your own business or have been thinking about starting your own business in travel, then you need to do that. Hey, ha, says somebody there. You're all kind of like naming and shaming those of you that don't have a photo. So have a photo, don't just have a blank space. Here's a reason from a visibility perspective for this. You can often be kind of misconceived as, you know, a bot or a fake person or something else like that. Some people kind of go, oh, well, I've got a business, so I'm going to replace my picture with a logo. And actually, that's not necessarily the right thing to do. If you're a business owner or a consultant, people need that human connection. People need that human connection. Think about it. The Virgin brand for many years. Yes, they've got logos and things, but Richard Branson will always show as Richard Branson with a photo. You know, he won't be putting the Virgin logo. Oprah Winfrey would do the same thing too. She could put her Oprah logo, but she puts herself. This is important. Now, I forgot to tell you, like one of the most important statistics that you all know. I've been talking about this for over 20 years, so forgive me, I've lost the source of where this information came from. I know there's lots of new students on there that will be wanting the citations of it all. So I want you to write down on the piece of paper in front of you 3 numbers. One of them is 63, one of them is 27, and the next number is 10. So let me start with the 10%. Did you know that 10% of people in the average workplace are really great at what they do? And I see this in like the business owning consultancy field as well. Really great at what you do, know everything about everything that you're doing. You know everything about everything that you're doing. People can ask you, it could be your specialist subject. But did you know that as an employee, just knowing everything about what you do is very rarely enough to get you promotions, pay rise, and most importantly, recognition. Recognition of your value, recognition of your worth. That's really, really quite sad to me. So that's the 10%, but it's okay, you know everything about everything. So then we've got the next thing. So the next thing is, did you know that in the 27%, these are people now who not only know everything about what they do, you know, inside out, back to front and upside down, you also have a really fantastic reputation. Now, this isn't an invitation for you to go out and be, you know, cause problems or suddenly become a rebel or anything like that. But those people in that 27% and also that 10% will never get the pay rise, the promotion, or the recognition. And it's sad because the people who do are the people who are in the 63% of people who are highly visible. Doesn't mean showing off. It doesn't mean trashing work colleagues. It doesn't mean trying to take work as your own. It doesn't mean shouting the loudest. It doesn't mean wearing bright clothing or being pretty or looking great or anything else like that. It just means that you're in the 63% of people that are more visible. Even if you're a think, speak, think person, that way that you might be visible in that meeting is to sit and listen to everyone's opinion, think about what you're going to say, speak it, and think again. You can still be in that 63%. This is why it is so important. And over the sort of the decades now that I've been even talking about this specific thing, the rules have changed. You know, there are, we've become more diverse and more inclusive as a society. I personally think we're not quite where we need to be yet, and I don't know if you agree too. And we can play a part in helping to bring those things all together. So in terms of being visible, when you are out there, it could be at your university, you have a profile. Some of you may remember the days of the intranet. Some of you may be working from home, so you're not in the office to be seen physically. Make sure that you have got a photo on social media. You know, sometimes I feel quite sure that in the recruitment process, people will type into Google and see if you come up. Now, they're not supposed to do that, and they're not supposed to, base recruitment on something like your social media profile. But I guarantee it happens. You know, when I get asked to speak at conferences, I've been asked to speak at conferences from people I didn't even know kind of existed. And I'm sure they just type my name into Google, Jenny Kovacs, visibility specialist, and then they can see that I'm a real person. They can probably see some of my motivational videos that I do at 7:30 on a Monday, where I'm kind of like, well, I'm not quite that bad, but, you know, I'm sitting in, you know, this same spot now. So very, very important. So Olga is saying, goal for everyone today to insert your photo in your accounts on Zoom social network. Absolutely. So what I was going to say is, here's a tip for you. So Olga kind of beat me to it. Make sure you have your photo on Facebook, fine. Even if you haven't been on LinkedIn for years and done nothing with it, at least have a photo on there and check the setting that says hide your photo from people you don't know. You really need your photo to be out there. You can have a professional shot. You can get somebody to, do a shot for you. If you're social distancing and at home, you can even set a timer on a smartphone to take a picture of you or get a clip from something, but do have a photo. For those of you that use Zoom a lot for meetings, you should always make sure that your name is as you want it to be shown. I'm actually Jennifer, but only Jennifer if I'm in trouble. I don't want people calling me Jennifer, so I show my name as Jenny. And if you've never done that before on Zoom, how you do that is you hover, like you could literally do it now, hover over the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, click on that, and it will give you the option to rename, okay? So you can do that too. You can do that too. So who would commit to sort of the 3 threes? On your social media where you can use the same photo everywhere, definitely on LinkedIn and definitely on Zoom. Who's going to commit to that? If you can, say yes and start gathering your questions. If you've got questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you, and I'll start answering them for you. And I'm happy to stay on an extra sort of 10 minutes if there's a lot of questions that we need, and I'll keep the recording running so that you can hear those. I won't say your name unless you specifically want me to, just so that you know that, give you a bit of privacy. Okay, so in the same way, when the Zoom call is finished, have a look at your profile and upload a photo there. Okay, that's one thing you can do. The next thing that you need to do is, if you are on LinkedIn, and whether you work for someone else's business or your own business, you definitely need a link to, to show people where you work. But people often forget to do this on Facebook. You'll be amazed at how many people that you meet at industry events, and you might be comfortable in accepting them as a personal friend on Facebook. It's a really good idea. Where you work, don't put the school of life or anything else like that. If you're not working and you're a student, for example, you can say studying at and link that to the university or the place that you're studying. If you have other roles, like you're a non-exec director, maybe you've been doing this for a while and you've got other things that you're doing, or maybe you're looking to really kind of break into a specific industry, make sure that you keep connected with those those companies too online. If there are certain people that work for a business, maybe in travel or tourism or hospitality, and you think, oh, I'd like to work for them when I, finish my studies, then what I would do is I would start just having a look at their pages. If they're on social media, make sure that you follow them on social media, interact with them, get to know them. Because one of the reasons why most people think they've made the wrong choice of a job is that they haven't got to know the company. And to boot, we have all been brought up and trained that, when we go for an interview, we have to sit there and kind of jump through the hoops to answer questions. And it shouldn't really feel like that. An interview process is a two-way process. You want to make sure that you're the best fit for them and they for you. So your questions will be directed from, the sorts of things that you're looking for in a future employer or in your next employer. And they will be asking questions to make sure that you're a great fit too. I do a lot of stuff on the radio actually around careers and things like that. And it's an area that I love. I'm not the person to come and ask me to have a look at your CV and whether it makes sense or anything else like that. But I'm the person to definitely give you lots of handy tips and hints about how you can get out there. Okay, so I see a few questions coming in, and I definitely want to answer those to honour your time if you do need to drop off. So if you've got questions, by all means, put them in the chat. If you want to come on and you want me to unmute you so you can answer the question live to me, I'm more than happy to do that too. So, sorry, I should be wearing my glasses, so I'm going to pull a funny face as I look in the chat there. So somebody said, any advice for students getting noticed and taken seriously because of alleged lack of knowledge or experience on graduation? Okay, so the positive news, which doesn't sound like the positive news, and I love that question, is this. I know that sometimes when we have gone for an interview or put ourselves forward for something internally, because this although I'm answering this question specifically for this actually is beneficial if you're looking at, raising your profile in a workplace, in an organization, or in an industry too, same sort of stuff. So if you've been able to get the feedback that, you have had a lack of knowledge or experience, don't get upset about that. Take that as great feedback. Now you've got something to work with. I actually think if you don't get any feedback, if you just get a, yeah, you're really good, not right for now, or no feedback, that's actually often harder, and that happens a lot still. So if you're looking to get noticed, there's two things. You said get noticed and taken seriously. So I'm going to kind of splice it into two. If you're looking to get noticed, if you are able to, especially now, really get familiar with the brand or the businesses or the place that you want to be noticed by, do ensure that you're looking at what they do. Maybe you're commenting on their initiatives and things like that. Now, it's not to say that, somebody in a digital marketing company will say, oh, Jenny Kovacs seems to like this thing a lot, but it means that you'll start to get a feel for them, and you might start to interact with them as well. They might put some information out that you can respond to. So it means that if you've been doing that and then you go to an interview and they ask you a question, you can say, oh, it's so funny that you've asked me that question because here's my answer. And the other day when I noticed on your website that you said this, or on Twitter when you said that, it was me that responded with blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's just a very simple and easy way of doing that. Now, the way to be taken seriously, something that I cover quite deeply in the impact part of my system. And it's something that I, when I'm working with people, I get to see their individual circumstances so I can dive in deeply. But I do get a lot of people that say I don't get taken seriously. And this is going to sound really fickle. The truth of the matter is, and I've sat in enough boardrooms, on enough like HR kind of recruitment panels and all sorts of things like that, where I get to hear what people say are the reasons. And I'm not suggesting this is for you, but I'm giving this as a kind of a teaching point for everybody. Sometimes people will tell you, like, for example, it's a lack of knowledge, and you think, no, but I do have the knowledge. Remember what I said? 10% of people, they know everything about everything, but they won't get the recognition. Take that feedback that it's an opportunity for you to display the knowledge that you do have, but work on being more visible. Work on being in the 63% of people who are more visible, so that the knowledge then becomes, something that they know that you have. That's what I mean by kind of knowing your value and acknowledging your value. I hope that makes sense. The taken seriously bit is, and I found this because, for a part of my career, I worked in financial services. I was sometimes the only woman in the room, with directors, all, sort of been doing financial services for longer than I've been alive, with the pinstripe suits and everything. And depending on where you're looking to be taken seriously, if it's very senior, then you'll need to delve deeper into these impact pieces. But if it's a position that's not so senior, but you want to be taken seriously, look at your knowledge, but also look at how you're acting in a particular workspace and behaviours. I helped a client. I helped a client about a year ago, and they're at work. They had a head of position, and they wanted to get to the next step. And one of the things that they ended up doing was they ended up taking on board these impact things. We haven't got time to go through like the gazillion different ones that we could share. But what actually happened was I heard from them just recently, and they said, I'm no longer a head of, I'm actually now a director. I took on what you said, it resonated. And it's literally, just to not sort of starve you, well, what do? Is you go into the space where you want to be taken seriously, and you get to start from day one all over again. In fact, I had a really lovely saying somewhere here earlier, which I now can't find, which would have been apt, but it basically says something like, you know, tomorrow is a new day. Start the new day as if it's your first day. If you're at university studying, start that new day as if it's your first day, and you've got a new focus with your studies. Okay, so hopefully helpful. It will really help. But if you're building, you know, for something on graduation, at the end of the day, you know, I do not have, you know, years of experience, but I have lots of knowledge, and here's how I can demonstrate it. Somebody says, what if we have lots of experience, but not within the tourism industry? That's fine. One of the things that I've noticed over the years with the people who I've seen how they've risen, they've taken time out to go and learn. And I'm not suggesting that you haven't, but sometimes we can expect almost to be spoon-fed, and you know, we can expect for somebody to help us pick up the slack. So here's the good thing about not knowing much about a different industry or moving into another industry. It gives you an opportunity to learn. Now, I'm going to recommend this book. I knew I'd need this book today, and I had it to hand. This book, Strength Finders by Tom Raith. I talk about it all the time. You'll see me post about it all the time. It's kind of not really like a book. In short, it's Gallup over the years have collated lots of information from people doing different things, and it plays to your strengths. Basically, when you read the book, you literally have the first chapter, which tells you how it all works. And then in the back of the book, you'll have a little code here. And on the code, you go and do an online test. It's one of those, are you more like this, less like this? But what's great about it is at the end of it, it tells you your top 5 strengths. And those top 5 strengths aren't industry specific. So as an example, one of mine is individualization. I am literally incapable. Line up 10 solicitors in front of me and I will see something different in all of them. Because I know that about myself, I can excel. Remember when we were talking about the vibe system and the 4th step, the E, the energy, I can bring more of that individualization to what I do because it's a strength of mine. I know it's a strength of mine, and I know that it benefits other people around me and it helps them. So if you have a lot of experience, start to look at what that experience is. Like, sit with a pen and paper, note it down, write it down in a list, and then start to circle where else that experience can be used, because I know it can. You know, at the beginning of this, I was talking about the phonetic alphabet. I learned that in travel, but do you know how many times that came in handy in other industries where I've either been helping or consulting or coaching with people, or industries where I've been working, from financial services to retail. So, you know, don't hold yourself back. And there's a bit of a feel-good factor of doing this test and getting that. You can order it online. I don't get commission for it. I think I should. I've recommended so many of these over the years. And then what happens is when you've got your top 5 strengths, you've got a description of what it looks like, things that you can do to build it more, working with others that have got it, and it gives you something to talk about in an interview. Okay, so hopefully that answers it. Was those 2 questions that I've answered, were they helpful for anyone else? If they were, put a yes in the box. If not, keep with your questions. We are at time, but I'm going to keep going for a bit extra and just answer the rest of these questions here. So the next question, let's have a look. Somebody said, most disappointing feedback is you're very good, but we've had a big number of strong candidates. Yeah, that is something that people say. I would watch for this. This is like, what would Jenny do moment? What goes on in Jenny's head? I would take that as a great bit of feedback. And I've had that before in my past, many, many years ago. And then I also take that as so what can I do to let them know why I'm the person to be doing this? You know, I talk about mindset a lot in this. And sometimes we can get knocked. You know, friends of mine will tell you we can get knocked. You know, even in the last sort of, week, I got a knock, but it's not what you do. It's not about how you handle it. It's what you do with it. So if you get used to building that muscle, watching motivational things, if you watch the news and it stresses you out and worries you, don't watch it. You can go onto Twitter, look at what's trending and catch up in 2 seconds. You know, when you get up, if there's a feel-good book you can read just for 5 minutes or 5 sentences, I call it keeping your head in the game. Do that, because it will give you the confidence to say, yes, I appreciate you've had a big number of strong candidates, but I know that I'm the best person for you, and you can explain why, instead of feeling or sounding or thinking that you sound arrogant. Hopefully that helps. I think you'll be okay, Olga. I think you will. Fellow student, thank you for covering this topic, currently on graduate scheme search, and this gives me hope. Interestingly, I started to get really interested in this visibility work long before I even started my business. And I'm sharing this with all of you because one of the people that really sparked my interest in it did exactly that. She used to, go and work, be hired for companies that used to get people and graduate schemes. So I know a lot of the routes to this system. I always have that in the back of my head. As a graduate, I know that there are other people graduating at the same time, but trust me, there are things that you can do to stand out, which aren't shouting, without boasting, and without being arrogant. So I hope that helps you. Good luck with the graduate search, and do your due diligence on them as well. Make sure it's what you really want to do. You know, good fit for you, but also you want to make sure that they're a great fit for you too. Okay. So ITT said they've just posted about this session on their ITT Future You on LinkedIn. So have a look down there. Please click on the link. I'm not sure what the settings are like for this, but you might even be able to kind of save the chat. I've had updates and all sorts so much that I hope you can, but if not, have a look at that now and click on that and do go to LinkedIn. If not, go to LinkedIn, hit the search bar, ITT Future You. If you found me on LinkedIn, you'll see where I've been tagged in by the ITT Future You. Click on there and do definitely go and join them. Okay, so thank you for answering that. I'm glad it answered. Sometimes I go wide, sometimes I go deep. Donna's saying, I love this book, it's spot on. Oh, I love this book. It is spookily accurate, but we answer the questions and it will really pull those out. And I don't know if Donna will agree, there's a real good feel-good factor when you can dig deeper into the book. I highly recommend it. I did my test, by the way, over 10 years ago, easily, maybe 12, 15 years ago, and it's still as relevant today as it was back then. It doesn't really go out of date. You don't change, that much fundamentally to your core. So I'll hold it up again, Strength Finders. Okay. So very helpful. Thank you. This is amazing. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, there's so many more visibility tips that I can share with you, but I don't want to bombard you, overfill you. And you know what? I want you to go and take action and do it. If you've had an old photo for like 4 years, why not give it an update? New energy, bring new energy into it. So thank you so much. A lot of you saying you're going to be buying the book. Can't wait to hear, let me know what are your top strengths, and just, keep, for those of you who are students and know each other, keep each other accountable. These are tough times. They are tough times. However, with other people around you that you can hold accountable, you'll sail through this. You've got your own cheerleaders there as well. Somebody else is sharing a great resource with regard to strengths. The VIA Institute has some nice survey results online, so it might be useful. Thank you for sharing that. And is it Andrea or Andrea? Andrea, I feel. Let me know. Is it? I don't know how you're going to say it. Is it Andrea? Because you'll spell it the same, or Andrea. So yeah, do check out what she's posted there. Thank you for those of you that saying brilliant session. Thank you. It helps me to know that it's been useful. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, I thought it was rubbish, what do you want to know? Come and let me know. I'd love to hear. Somebody says, what if I graduated 4 years ago and haven't been working in this career until now? I feel like I don't remember anything anymore, nothing to give. This actually is a question of mindset. Have a look on YouTube, go through the Future Yous. I know that we're all sort of time short, but maybe make a point every morning, go and watch some of the resources. They're brilliant videos on there. Even if you've only got 5 minutes, commit to that as like your routine, your regime. Go in, listen for 5 minutes, pause it on there. The next day, continue to listen to 5 minutes. It's like giving your brain food. I trust you. That will shift the feeling of I don't know anymore. And also I feel like a doctor. I'm prescribing you to watch the videos in 5 minutes at a time, take them every day just after you rise, and then the next thing it will do is it will give your brain some food and it will get you sort of that feeling back in the game. So do that. And if there's something, and I suspect my intuition tells me, if there's something that makes you kind of reminds you of what you don't know or don't remember, stop doing whatever that is. Unfollow the company, stop, being connected to the person, stop reading the thing. There'll be something for you to stop doing that will get your head in the game. Hopefully helpful. Some of you saying you have to drop off. I know you've got other meetings. I know we've gone long. Jenny, is your vibes approach and the S can stand for social networking, which I found a great step in being visible. Actually, the social networking comes onto the V for visibility, and it's really about boosting that. So that's where the social networking sits. In the visibility boost, across social media, I counted this. I was doing an exercise with a client the other day. Like 17,000 between my email list, people that follow me on Twitter, on LinkedIn. You of all, if you're on more than one social media platform, you've got a bigger platform than you think. So absolutely. So thank you. Excellent, informative. Thank you. Just making sure. I think that's it. My energy is amazing and inspiring. Thank you. That's a really lovely thing to say. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. It comes from loving what I do. And if there's just one thing that I've said today that has helped somebody, one of you out there, then, my job is done. And, please, as I say, share the love with the ITT Future You. Make sure that you like them and connect with them with at least 3 social media channels. Come on, try Instagram, try Facebook and try LinkedIn. Then you've got the all round. Okay. 9 months of furlough, you really needed this. You're going to love what's coming next. So as I wrap up this session for today and let you all go off and do whatever it is you would like to do now, maybe go and watch one of the videos on iTunes, on YouTube. Here's what I will say. To come, we're going to talk about video visibility and why it's so important, even if you're not some sort of internet influencer star, and how, the roles that it plays in professional visibility. To come, we're also going to do some kind of mindset goalie stuff, for those of you that feel like maybe my head isn't in the game, those of you that are like, you know what, I'm going to write off this year and I'm going to focus for next year. We might as well get started on doing that and making that happen. We're not going to talk about resolutions because a high percentage of people fall off the wagon by the 17th of January. Like not even 3 weeks in. So we're not going to talk about that, but let's come up with ways to help you with that. Then we're going to talk a little bit about impact and how you make an impact, how you get taken seriously. This comes from a huge system and it's a massive body of work, but if I can give you something through the future, the ITT Future You, then I hope so. And also, let's talk about storytelling, the important part that storytelling plays, whether you're looking to join a graduate scheme or you're going to graduation, whether you've been in it for eons and you just want a fresh new approach. Let's have a look at that. And I'll talk a lot more about how you can sell yourself and come across in meetings and speak. So hopefully helpful. Thank you so much. And for those of you that have been inviting me on LinkedIn, I will get to those. If you're a Facebook person, maybe check out Jenny Kovacs at the Queen of Being Seen. And I will be putting a post up in the next 24 hours of how you can kind of get your 1-pager worksheet of these 5 things. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all the lovely comments. And that's it for now. Bye for now.